So when Stuart Whitley takes on a new project, and before we ever even get into the audition room, we do a shit ton of research from all like pre-existing versions of the show, if there's movies, if there's archival videos, if there's cast recordings. We get our hands on all of that. We try to read, as many reviews of previous productions as possible, just to kind of hear and see what worked and what didn't work in previous incarnations of shows. Now, if it's an original musical, then of course none of that exists, and all we have is just words on a page, or maybe a demo by the composer. But we all do sit around and we actually, we take the scripts home, we read them, we take the demos home, we listen to them, and then we come back and sit around a table and just start kind of talking about how, from our perspective, how we envisioned the show going. And we do that all by ourselves first, and then we take meetings with the creative teams and producers, and then actually hear their visions as well. And then then it kind of becomes a sounding board of popping ideas back and forth, ideas that originally struck us, and then ideas that originally strike the creative team and producers. And then, of course, we get down on paper at kind of a first draft of how the actual creative team sees the show going. And often in the beginning, they don't really know what they want. They don't know what they want until you put it in front of them. And so that's when it's really fun for us, because then we start to actually get to take, different prototypes of different ideas of the way the role could go. For example, in the revival of Pippin, when we were casting that, the leading player originally was created by Ben Vereen. And of course, Patina Miller ended up playing it on Broadway and won the Tony for it. Well, getting from Ben Vereen to Patina Miller was not just one huge, easy leap. There were so many different ideas in between. And so when we began casting it for ART, we brought in a lot of different options. We brought in people of different gender, different race, different age. We brought in, people that were well-established actors in the business, and we brought in, people that were just fresh off the boat, right out of college. And so then what's so cool about the process is that we started to actually kind of have the best of each idea. And I can remember so clearly in that final day of auditions, there were like 5 different, just very vivid ideas of how that role could go. And in the day, we landed on Patina for it, and that's the direction it went. So another reason why, casting directors exist is because it's our job to actually audition hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people, and then start just focusing in, making the group a much more manageable number of people. And so, when we did the original casting, or as we speak, doing the original casting for, Natasha, Pierre, we did open calls for it, and we probably auditioned, I don't know, a lot of people, thousands and thousands of people for it. And so my office, taking the notes of Rachel Chafkin and the creative team, we started to just, pare down the number and pare down the number and pare down the number. And we got it down to a much more manageable size. Let's call it like, 200 people. After auditioning, 2,000 or 3,000 people. And we get it down to that number, and then you start bringing in, the associate creative team, the choreographer starts to appear, the music director starts to appear, and we start just, seeing the different people and that we've brought in and narrowing it down to a smaller number and smaller number until we get to basically like a day or two of auditions left. And that's when you bring in all the producers and everyone involved, and they then get to see kind of the cream of the crop of what we've been exploring over the past 6 months or even years worth of auditions, and actually nail that cast of 30.